Hello, welcome to the Writing Gals. We're so excited tonight to talk about launching, and we're just going to go more in depth on what we've talked about before, and we have a lot more things that we've learned, so we wanted to bring it up again. And we still get a lot of questions on our Facebook group page about launching. So we're going to just start right in tonight from some of the questions that we've gotten from our Facebook followers. The first one is from Kristen. Have any of you seen much of a difference between launching a series with each new book a month apart versus 2 to 3 weeks apart?
Did we want to start with what we're doing first, though, real quick?
Well, I thought I just realized that, but I was hoping you guys would just let me be smooth and we'll talk about it.
I want to brag about myself, okay? This is the part where I get to say how amazing I am.
Okay, time out on the question. And you have to remember it because I don't want to repeat it again. Okay, Amy, what's been up with you lately?
Oh, we don't have to start with me. I was just
you're unmuted, so go for it.
Okay. Well, I just finished book number 3 of my Rules of Love series. So it's off of the editor right now, and I'm going to release it this week. And it's fun. I actually have a pre-order on, so I'm excited for that. But I think the most exciting thing was I actually got interviewed by 2 podcasts this week. And one I'm kind of geeking out about because it was the self-publishing formula with Mark Dawson and James Blatch. And I watched that one a lot. So I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they think I actually have important things to say. So they actually interviewed me. So I was excited. I totally talked the Writing Gals up. So hopefully we'll get a lot more followers and a lot more people interested in us. I do want to point out, you do not have to be a gal to follow the Writing Gals. So you can be a guy too. We welcome everybody. So other than that, I'm trying to figure out how to write Marrying a Spy because it's a little bit different than what I normally write. So I'm kind of procrastinating that and getting ready for the conference next week. So lots and lots of stuff going on in my wheelhouse.
That's awesome. All right, Judy, what have you got going on?
I am finishing up my book that I've been working on for forever, My Second Chance, which is the 4th book in my Ridgewater High series. And I am just right in the middle of the climax right now. And so I have maybe 3 more chapters left, and then I should be done and send it to my editor and hopefully have it published within the next month. So yeah, I'm excited about that. It's been a long process. So, but yeah.
All right, Victorine, let's see what you've got going on.
Oh, I'm so excited about our conference coming up next week that will be in Kansas City. So I've been working on my class presentations and stuff for that. Also been working on the retreat we're doing in April. So if you don't know anything about either one of those, join us on our Facebook group. And we've got posts about both of those. And I'm also excited because I started writing a young adult science fiction book about an alien. And it's really fun. And I'm just having a ball with it. So that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, it's really good, everyone. I got to hear the first chapter today, and it's amazing. I'm excited.
That's so much fun. So I just got to write my love book, and now Victorine is on hers. So I have my Saved by a Rockstar coming out next week. So that's really exciting. And the 20th, I think, is my kind of first official live day with that one. And I realized today that that would be 3 books that I've published within 44 days, which is a crazy record for me. So I'm really excited about that. And then I am turning around and jumping right into finishing my first full-length Regency, Beloved Gentleman. And then I am going to be outlining my Christmas books and the sequel to my mermaid book. So just not slowing down, but it's so much fun. And then getting ready for teaching my conference classes next week too. Okay, so let's see if anybody remembers what the question was that we had.
I do. It was
Okay, go
about releasing every month or shorter than that, if there's any difference. And I haven't released really rapidly because I'm kind of a slower writer. And so the closest together I think I've released is 2 months apart, I think. But I've been watching other people release their books, and I really haven't seen much of a difference between 30 days apart or 2 weeks apart, or, you know, anything in between that. Now, longer than 30 days, I see a difference, but it seems to me like 30 days is kind of that magic number. And if you're anywhere in there, 30 days or less, you get that rapid release boost.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Amy.
No, that's fine. You can keep going.
I was going to say, I have seen some people that feel like 3 weeks is really good because you still have that previous book boosted by the 30-day promotion Amazon does. But if you get closer than that, I think you really start to wear out your readers. They start getting behind. They start feeling like, oh, well, if I have to catch up, then I'm just not going to bother right now. So I think you can do them too close together. I think 3 to 4 weeks is probably optimal.
I would have to agree wholeheartedly with what Michelle said. I think you run into that problem of your reader doesn't get enough of a break from you. And as much as your reader does love you and what you write, especially if you write standalone books, I think like I could sit down and devour a trilogy that has to be read one boom, 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 boom in a couple of days because I have to know. But if you write standalones, it's not that same urgency that you get. And I think I always like to think of it as it's kind of like the thing that they eat to like cleanse the palate, you know, that you eat this really heavy duty meal and then you need to eat something to cleanse the palate and then you eat something else. I want my readers to have opportunity to kind of cleanse their palate, and I want to give them an opportunity to want my next book, to be like, yeah, these books were great, but oh, I can't wait till Anne Marie puts out another book because I'm ready to read her book again. So I think if you try to do it too close together, it will, like what Michelle said, exhaust your reader. I did put out a book on the 1st of August, and then I released the second book 3 weeks later. I did not get that second book as high as my first book. And I think it might be just because I was depending on the read-through. So I had great read-through, but I think it might have kind of hurt me in the sense that that was the only thing I was depending on. Because every book I have released prior to this, it's standalone in the same series, but I've always been able to actually get my next book higher in rank than the previous books. But with this one, I wasn't able to, and I'm trying to figure out why that is. And I'm only guessing maybe, I mean, it could be that it's not as well written as my first one. I wonder if it's because I released it so close to my first one, or maybe not. I mean, I don't know. You can take that with a grain of salt. I've never released any other of my previous books as quickly. And so I also almost wonder if, depending on how you want to go about doing things, if it's not as good to release as quickly. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys like think I'm crazy or?
I don't know. This is something that I think we're all kind of watching what other people are doing when they're putting their books out this quickly and just trying to see what their ranks are doing and that sort of thing. And so it's kind of a little experiment I think we're all keeping an eye on as we're playing around with this quick release thing. I will say with my Regency House Party project that we've been doing, we've had 2 releases now a week apart. And I think that mine didn't go super high. Mine got about 780, I think was the highest that mine got at launch, which was really good for a new category for me. But the next book didn't get quite as high, but she also didn't have as much of a platform, so it's really hard to tell. But we have had great pre-orders through the series because all 5 books are on pre-order, and so it's been really impressive to see how many people are going ahead and picking up pre-orders across the whole series. And so it's been really interesting. So I don't even know, so that's a week apart, but it's also by different authors. So it's kind of a completely, I don't know, kind of a different thing. But I would say if you want to do something that we feel is really strong, then 3 to 4 weeks is a good idea. And that's kind of funny because our next question is, what if you're launching a book that's not a series and maybe the one and only time you publish? What do you do differently during a launch? Go ahead, Victoria.
I would say if it's your only book, you want to try and figure out who your audience is. That's probably the most important thing. And I would also kind of question, why is this your only book? Is this like a memoir about you and you have to tell your story and get it out there and then you're done? Or if this is a fiction book, why do you feel like this is the only book you have in you? So if it's something where it's therapeutic for yourself, then I don't know how much you can gather up an audience for something like that. If you're writing a fiction book, then there's an audience waiting for that book, right? So if you're writing a thriller, then you have to tap into that thriller audience. But if it's something therapeutic for you that you're just writing a one and done, then that's a really hard thing to market. So I don't know if that was a great answer or not.
Yeah, I don't know that there is a super great answer. Do you have one, Judy? We're
Oh,
waiting for your brother.
I was just gonna say, just put it up and do your best, and then see what happens. Because I guess, or if it's like your only book, then maybe I would try traditionally publishing first, just because it's hard to only do one book as a self-published author, because the way to keep your books higher is by continually publishing. So I'd probably try traditionally publishing first, and then if that doesn't work, then do self-publishing after that. So that's what I would do.
I have to say it's probably some kind of a special project that they're doing, because I think most writers are like, I want to write all the books, like forever and ever. And so it must be something that's a little bit unique. That question was from Mary. Maybe on a Facebook group she could let us have a little bit more info. We could help her a little bit better. But here's a question from Perry. Would you promote book 1 of a series when launching book 3, or would you promote book 3? And this is for a trilogy that needs to be read in order. So I always think if it's a trilogy that needs to be read in order, you promote the first book more than you do the others, because people have to start there. And it's your loss leader most of the time anyway, because you're trying to invest them in the series and get the good read through. So I would say yes. I mean, it doesn't mean you can't ever do a promotion on the third book, but it's not likely to be as successful as it would if it was the first one, because people are going to know, hey, if I get this book, I'm going to have to go and buy the rest of the series before I can even start reading this one. So pretty much most of your buyers would come from people who are already in the series, and they're likely to know about it anyway, or be on your newsletter, or be looking for it. And so you don't necessarily need to be promoting to those readers anyway. Anybody else have thoughts?
Yeah, I would agree. I think I've read some places where people say they get very irritated when it's the third book or the second book in a series that's free, because they automatically almost have to purchase the first one. And you really don't want to box your reader into something like that. I think where I struggle is the opposite of that. When you have all standalone books, and it's like, I wonder if my read through from book to book is just not as strong, because I don't have that urgency that the reader has I have to read the next book. And I wonder, maybe that's something I want to try in the future, to write a book that you have to, maybe not necessarily you have to, where you leave cliffhangers, but you continue on. I mean, Judy has some experience in this. I normally try and shy away from anything like that, because to me, I think that's really restricting, to be like, I have to make sure I add these people and I have this people and it's all the same and it's all right. But I almost wonder if my read through would be better if they had more of that need to know what happens.
Yeah. Obviously, I think that's a good idea, because in my series, they are standalone, but I do introduce like hints that there is another relationship brewing between two other characters. So then my readers are like, I can't wait till the next book that comes out. So it does help my read through a lot, I think. So if you want more read through, it's good to maybe think about that possibility. It does make things a little more complicated, and you are tied to certain things a little more, but it's worked for me, so I like it.
Okay. Amy, do you want to take a second and talk about some of the different things that you've been trying with your launches lately?
Sure, definitely. So I have been doing some different things. My most recent for my adult, I pre-ordered and set on a pre-order and launched at $2.99 instead of 99¢. And then I scheduled about a week later a 99¢ promo day that I had everybody that I knew and could possibly send it out for 99¢. And then it lasted a day, and then I upped it back up to $2.99 just to kind of see what would happen. And I don't have exact numbers on how it worked, but it was very successful. My book stayed pretty high in rank for a long time at $2.99. So I was definitely making way more money that way. And I did put Marrying a Spy on pre-order in the back of it. But I also, and I didn't even think about this, but I also put, so I did the hard sale at the back of the epilogue. So it didn't even skip a page. It goes right into You Want More Romance, get this book, Marrying a Spy. And then I think I said set to be released fall 2019 or something. And then right below it, I said, don't want to wait, grab the first book of my Billionaire series. So I pushed people through my first book of my Billionaire series. And I had Facebook ads going on that one, but I also think a lot of the sales and how I got back up higher in rank, I think for getting the Billionaire, got up to like 8,000 in the store, 7,000 in the store. And I think it was the read through plus the Facebook ads that I was getting on there. So that definitely was a success for me. But I also only had it on pre-order for about a week, and then it launched. Now I have Marrying a Spy on pre-order, but that's going to take me probably until next month to get it done and written and released. So I'm interested to see how that's going to affect my launch. I also haven't fed that part of my newsletter or that part of my fan base in a while. So I'm wondering if that's going to help. You're going to hear a lot of, I don't really know how this worked, but it worked. And I don't know really, or it might not work. And maybe it will. You hear a lot of like maybes and what ifs and all these things. Cause I really wish there was an exact science to this, but there is not. Now I did put out 3 weeks later, I released rule number 1, marrying, you can't date the coach's daughter. And that one I did a lot of, I was going to release at $2.99, but then I decided not to. I think that same day I was like, no, I just really don't have a platform in YA. I'm going to drop it down to 99¢. I'm going to hope some of my readers will follow me through, because I was polling my readers, trying to figure out how many will actually click on a YA book and see if they will actually read it, how many will cross over. And I was noticing on my smart URL, I was getting quite a bit of clicks. So I knew, okay, this is something my reader base will read from me, or that they're interested in. So that was a positive thing. So I dropped it down to 99¢, and I just did the slow launch with that. I just had newsletters going out. I don't have as much newsletter power behind YA, not like my adult, where I've fostered a lot of relationships with other people, very big names. So it went, but I did the slow launch, and I think I got it up to like 700 in the store. And then it kind of dropped down. And then this is just the magic of YA. I think it's the, magic carpet ride. It just took it all the way up into the 300s, all on its own. I was not really doing any promotions on it. And I think maybe it had something to do with Netflix releasing one of their books. And my book happened to be number 5 on adult or contemporary teen and YA romances, where the Netflix one, her trilogy, was the first 3, and I was number 5. So I wonder if that helped me. So that was just good luck timing. If we all had Netflix's release schedule, then we could really write good books, and then are going to take off because they're going to be right on that same page. But I did a pre-order for that one, or number 2. And so that one stayed pretty high, but I was releasing in 3 weeks. And that one, like release day, it shot up into the 800s. And I think it was that read through, but I haven't been able to get it much higher. I got it higher with a 99¢ day. So that I released at $2.99, stayed at $2.99, did a 99¢ day, and then went back to $2.99. I did get it down, but it just kind of popped back up to that 800, 900 mark, where the rule number 1 was in about the 400 mark. And I was like, why is this? How is this? I mean, and it could just be YA. That could just be the way it is, because I've always been able to get my next adult one to go just a little bit higher or do a little bit better than the previous one. And then having rule number 3, it's actually going to be about a month between releasing rule number 2 and rule number 3. And I was okay with going a little bit longer. I mean, I've had decent pre-orders. It's pretty much stayed in about the teens in rank. So I'm interested to see once I release that, how that happens. So I've been trying lots and lots of different things. Some things have been working for me and some haven't. Some have been doing well and I don't really know how. And but I think it shows that trying things can be successful, but not necessarily, because I know, I mean, I don't know if Victory wants to talk about her book, but she tried the $2.99 and then the 99 cents and then the $2.99 again. I do want to say about pre-orders though, and I'm still, it's hard for me to be like, yes, pre-orders really work because I rapidly release. And most people I know who do pre-orders and are successful at it rapidly release. So I would, if you're a person who takes you a little bit longer to write, I really wonder if you're hurting yourself with a pre-order. But if you're gonna release within 4 or 5 weeks, then yes, do a pre-order. But I guess we'll all see, because I have had Marrying a Spy on pre-order for at least it'll be a couple of months once it releases. So I guess at that point I can kind of give you a more educated guess. So that was really long. Sorry.
I hope everyone was taking notes. There was a lot of information in there. It was good. Anybody have anything to add to that?
Well, I will say that I tried the release where you have one day at 99 cents, and I'm going to call it a BookBub release, even though I didn't get a BookBub ad on it. But the whole point, I think, of that kind of release is to skyrocket your book by getting as many newsletters to say on sale today only as you can, and try and skyrocket that up as high as you can get it for one day, just like a BookBub ad would do for you. And then have that try and stick somewhere as it comes down. It didn't work as well for me as it did for Amy. And I think comparing numbers, I didn't make as much with that kind of a release as I have in the past with a slow release, where I just do a newsletter every day and try and work my way up to a sticky spot. And so for me, it didn't work as well as it did for Amy. But like we always say, try things out and see what works best for you.
Yeah, and see, since I'm about to release another book in a contemporary series, in fact, the first book in the series, I'm still too chicken to try the new way. So I'm going to be doing the slow release on this. So I think that one of the reasons it works really well to do the pre-orders and the $2.99 price point with one day at 99, you really have to have a solid platform, I think, to be able to do it really well. And I mean, you can kind of hit magic where your book just does really, really well, and so people are willing to pay the $2.99 for it. But I think that my platform is not big enough yet, so I'm too much of a chicken to try it because I need this book to perform well, and I'm going to stick with the kind of thing that's been tried and true for me for the last year. But I'll probably get to a point later on where I'll experiment with it and see what will happen. So one thing that's really hard is trying to figure out the launch strategy. Is it's not like you can't do an experiment where you have a control and you can figure out exactly which factors are involved in making the differences in your data, your sales, all this sort of stuff. We can't control anything, hardly. And there are so many factors built into a launch, where your platform size, whose newsletters are going out, what other books are releasing the same day, because that affects your ranks. I mean, just like all kinds of things that you can't even prepare for. But we're just doing the best we can to analyze what's working and not. Our next question is something that.
Hey, Michelle, can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
So the one I did try, the $2.99 to 99 cents, was my number 4 book in my series, which I think could have been a big, and like Victorine tried a brand new book, a brand new type of book that she did it with. And I didn't do that with the first book of my YA series. So I think if it's like I would suggest anybody, if it's the first book in a new series, do the slow release, because I think you're still having to get even your old readers to come with you on this new journey. And so I would probably suggest do that. And then subsequent books. And since you've kind of give them a taste of what the rest of the series is going to be like, then they'll probably be more willing to follow you through, because they're like, well, I read that one, loved it, and I will read anything else that has to do with that trope or in that world or in that type of book. I will go with them. So even the most well-established authors, I think if they try to write a different type of book, there's going to be a different type of marketing that's going to be involved with the first in this series.
Yeah. I think it's always about trying to gather your audience behind you as you're going through something that's a little bit new, just like Amy said. So something that's a little bit different for all of us, Joanna wants to know about strategies that would work for a traditionally published book, which, is a whole different kettle of fish. And I mean, it's hard because there's so many things that you won't have access to as a traditional author. You won't have access to daily sales numbers. You won't have access to knowing, whether or not any promotions you pay for actually worked, because there's such a huge lag between when your publisher shares numbers with you. And I still don't know. Maybe one of you do they show you like a day by day or a weekly or a monthly graph on how your sales did, or is it just like a number, like you sold this many books in 6 months?
It depends on your publisher, I think, because like my Kindle Scout book, I can see what my sales of from each day, but and I can see those live, where I know other traditionally published authors, it'll be like 6 months or a year before they even know. So,
but
yeah.
Can't you see your rank as an Amazon?
Yeah,
on Amazon.
On Amazon, but you don't know like what the bookstores are doing or what.
Yeah.
So I would say you could take what we're talking about and how we're doing it and use your Amazon rank as a tool into knowing if something's like, because if you wanted to say, I'm going to put a Facebook ad on my book, you would be able to tell if your rank is increasing. That means you're selling books, so that you should continue. I don't know how traditionally publishers work, but if it was me, I would do all that I could in my power. I would set a budget. I would say I will only spend $2,000 on advertising. And once I hit that, I'm done. But then I would start learning how to do, I don't know if you can do AMS, because I don't know if you can get onto that dashboard. But if you could do Facebook ads, or you could do newsletter swaps, anything to get eyes on that book, I think is going to be your best bet. So you can use it. I would set a cap, because you could spend tons of money on Facebook ads and not even know if it was doing anything for you.
Yeah. But I would still kind of maybe not be as, I don't know if it's Facebook ads anyway, but I would still be careful if you did do that. Just keep a close watch on the rank on Amazon to see if it does get higher or lower when you do have the ads on, and then take them off and see if it changes it. So.
Yeah,
I think
it's a little bit more of a gamble. I already feel a little bit blind doing like Facebook ads or something, because I can't use an associate account to see how many people are clicking over. But I think newsletter swaps are a no-brainer, right? I mean, like, absolutely no-brainer. Do as many as you can, build up those relationships, and gather, your community that know you and are willing to swap with you in the future. Because I mean, that's just about finding your readers. And so if you can find the people that, sell similar books to you, then, go for it. Because also bots are still going to work for you too. So you still want to try and get your also bots to be strong on your page. I think rank is a very difficult monster to try and understand. I mean, you can understand within like certain blocks, like I'm in the 50,000s or I'm in the 20,000s, but rank, I know there's a lot of like tools out there to show you what rank means, but it's still really hard to gauge because things are weighted differently. A sale a week ago is weighted differently than the sale that day. Sometimes you have just so many books selling on Amazon that, like, I think Tuesdays are really hard a lot because a lot of traditionally published books drop on Tuesdays. And so, if Amazon is selling double as many books on one day than they are on another day, then the rank is going to mean something a little bit differently. It's really difficult. But I would just say, try to talk to your publisher and say, what can you give me? What kind of information can you give me? I would like this to be a success, and communication would benefit both of us. And maybe they can just say, hey, whatever you did, it worked great for you today. I mean, I don't know. But I think I don't know. That's probably about all we know about that. What do you guys think? So, Joanna, I hope you have lots of luck. I know your book is going to do really well. I happen to really like your cover too. Okay, from Melissa, how does the number of reviews you have during the first week impact sales, and which bargain book services work the best? So first part, how do the reviews affect your sales? So, Victor?
I honestly don't think reviews really affect your sales that much. I mean, it's good to have some, and I think sometimes it builds a little confidence in the buyer to go ahead and click through and buy something. But I would not say to spend money or bend over backwards getting the reviews because of sales. Now, one thing that it does do is it allows you to buy up ads from some of these places that say you have to have at least 10 or 20 reviews to buy this ad. So that is one reason why I do go ahead and send out advanced review copies. Another reason is to create buzz. So my advanced reviewers, they not only will post a review, but they will help me by shouting about it on Facebook and on their blogs and different things like that. So that is one reason why I like to send out a lot of advanced copies to try and get that buzz going. I think that probably helps me more than having 80 reviews the day that I launch.
Well, I think I can be proof of that. The fact that my second book launched and I had a 1-star review the entire day. It was like it was the worst thing ever. So I would say a lot of times readers don't. I think that's like on the list of things they look at. I think it's one of the bottom ones that they do. It's more the cover, the title, the blurb. And I've talked to friends about it when we've talked about reviews, people who consistently buy on Amazon, and they're like, I don't really pay attention to the reviews, because if they're 5-star reviews, then all I think of, oh my gosh, you just got your mom to write that. And for me, when I read reviews, I read the worst reviews, and then I go, oh, I wonder if that's true. And then it makes me want to read the book to figure out if the 1-star review is true. So I think reviews can make different things for different people. If you do, as you get more established, I would say in your first book, it's probably good to have some reviews as a first-time author, just as social proof. I think as a while after you get a fan base going, a lot of them will disregard or won't care. They'll be like, I know this author and I'll read it. And if you do have that and you don't focus so much on it, but you want to get one of these ads, a lot of times, especially if it's like a pre-order and I'm looking to get for like the next week once it releases, I'm like, I don't have any reviews, but as a cumulative over my books, I have like 4 to 5-star reviews on all the rest of my books, which I think is kind of helpful into getting these other book services to work or to accept you.
The only thing I'd add is I have seen authors that will just, spread out their arcs around anybody who will take it. Hey, all my group of friends, hey, can you please read my book and review it? And that can actually come back to hurt you. It's better to have a few reviews from people who enjoy reading the kind of book that you're writing and will review it well, rather than just spreading it out amongst people who normally would not pick up your book and are doing you a favor, and you could end up with some not great reviews that way. And so I think it's good to have review teams that are dedicated to your genre, your category, and that like what you're putting out, so you can at least have the reviews for people that are going to be able to communicate to that reader, yes, this is the kind of book that it portrays itself to be, so to speak. Don't just beg every neighbor and uncle and best friend's wife and whatever to read your books and review them. Okay, so my phone has gone to sleep. Let's pull up the next question, and we are going to talk about the second half of that question, which which books bargain services work the best, like ENT, Book Cave, etc. Anybody want to chime in on that?
The one that works the best for me is it's Robin Reed's #1 for me for anything that's not BookBub. But that's clean romance, and it's all separated out by genre. So you may have to see what your genre does with some of these different places. But I do like Free Booksy, and I like ENT, and I like BookSense, especially because BookSense will also allow you to put in your, sorry, Michelle, Amazon Associates tag, and then you get money from that. So that's nice.
They also do shorter lengths, don't they? They allow the novellas.
Yeah, I think they do. So that's nice. So we often in our Facebook group will post, here's what I did for my promo. Here's all the places that I grabbed an ad from, and here's how it worked. And so I would say if you're not on the Facebook group, go ahead and join and read some of those posts that we are posting about our free days and our sale days and what has worked for us and what hasn't.
Yeah. And it's just a lot of times, like Victorine said, it's about the genre that you're doing in, because I recently did an ENT ad with a fantasy, and even though it did really well for my contemporary romance, it did not do as well at all for my fantasy. So even if one place has worked well for you before, if you're trying a different book or a different genre, then it might not always be exactly the same.
I would say Book Gorilla, Fussy Librarian, and Robin Reads are a month out schedule. So be aware of that. So if you're releasing and you're not sure what you're going to use, for me, ENT has been the best for the money, because I don't necessarily make my money back, but when I'm releasing, to me, every download counts. I think for contemporary romance on ENT, it's only $45. And I like the control, because if I know I have an open day, I'm like, I'll get an ENT ad and I know I'll get maybe 30, 40, 50 downloads. But for me, it's worth at 99 cents, not $2.99. To me, it's worth that extra boost up, because that might be some, proving to Amazon, my slow launch, my slow release. Bargain Booksy, not so much, and it's $100. And I just have not seen that return on my investment. I like those two because you can request it now and you don't have to be a month in the future. So just be aware, check when their dates are open if you're going to use them in any strategy that you have.
And I actually found, we talked about this before, I think, where I found a website where you can actually get coupons for some of these sites. Like I know BookSense is on one, and I got like $5 off a BookSense ad or something like that. So scout around a little bit and see what's out there, because these places are trying to promote themselves too. And so they'll share the love. And hello, just get a BookBub ad, right? Everybody, just do it. I see that on author forums all the time. Just get a BookBub ad. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you must be one of those people born under a divine star or something, because only people who are lucky think it's easy to get one. Anyway, that might be a little bit bitterness coming out. I don't know. Okay, let's talk about what is the best way to learn about how to place effective AMS ads, and should you start them right away or after the book has been out for a few weeks?
I always start mine right away. Yeah. And what is the best way to learn about how to place them? Well, we have a broadcast, a video that we did with
An episode?
with Rebecca Road. It's not necessarily for beginners, I guess, but it does go into a lot of the details that people who have done it before will have lots of great things to learn. But really, it's not that, like, I just kind of taught myself to do them, so it's not too difficult. Just get onto the AMS website, and it's pretty self-explanatory. At least it was for me. So yeah, basically you just need to come up with a kind of like a tagline type thing, and then keywords, and decide what bid, you want to be the top bid for them and go from there. So it's really not that difficult. Just take a look around and I'm sure most people could figure it out.
Do you have an AMS ad on your pre-order right now? Have you tried that?
No. I just do it once the book is live. So, and I'll do both the sponsored ads and the product ads, although the product display has never really taken off for me. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So mostly I just do the sponsored ones, and those have worked and I like them. I'll continue to use them. Just keep an eye on them to make sure they don't like spend all your money. But usually AMS doesn't spend it as quickly as like Facebook ads, which is why I use them more often.
The thing that's worked the best for me for AMS ads is I will go through my book and look at all my also bots, and I'll write down all the authors that are writing in the same genre as I'm writing in. And then I will use those as keywords. So all the authors' names, because if you use specific books, it's great for a while, but then those books, once they're not new anymore, they kind of drop in rank and then you don't get the visibility. But if you use the authors' names, then if they put a new book out, then you're bidding on their new book as well. So that's what I found works really best. I think the hardest thing about AMS ads is coming up with a catchy tagline.
Yeah, I think I'm the only one that has not yet attempted an AMS ad, so we'll see.
I would say that for me, the best thing I've done is get someone to do them for me. But if you're not at that point yet, using import.io to get keywords is amazing. Rebecca Rhodes did talk about it. That's kind of more for the advanced, and it's kind of hard to figure it out. But once you do it, it is chocked full of keywords that will give it to you in a matter of seconds. And it'll take all 400 pages of Clean and Wholesome, and it will pull out all the information off of that page, and it will put it in a spreadsheet. So all of a sudden now you have 400 pages of titles, series names, and authors for that category, and it's amazing. It's very expensive to use, but we just use new Gmail. We just you get 500 per email, so you just get a lot of emails and you get a lot of these lists that you build up. So you get, like, I think I had over 7,000 keywords at the end of it, which is amazing. KDP Rocket is great for keywords. With Amazon ads, it's really much your keywords are you're going to be your powerhouse behind you. Where are you showing your ad? And so KDP Rocket's really good. Although sometimes I notice for me, it's all about sweet romance, and KDP Rocket will sometimes stick some spicy books in there. And I have to be careful with that because that can change your also bots. So sometimes I have to go in and like, okay, well, I'm getting a lot of clicks or I'm getting a lot of impressions. What book is this that I'm getting impressions from? And so then I will look it up and be like, oh, yeah, I don't know if I necessarily want readers crossing over, or I think they would cross over, they would click, I'd pay for it, but they wouldn't buy it. So that's kind of where you kind of have to figure that out. So there's tons of now like classes you can take, even just for free. I learned all AMS ads by free YouTube videos that people have put out. So there's lots of like smarter people that can explain it better, I think, than me on how to do and set up an AMS ad.
Okay. So how often are we releasing and launching books? And what's the frequency that's worked best for you? So for me, I'm all over the place, but I'm growing more frequently. It's growing more frequent as I go along. And I think that if I could release a book once a month in Clean and Wholesome, then I would do really, really well. And my problem is that I'm releasing in multiple genres, categories, and so mine are spaced out a little bit, and it's not as great. So one of my future hopes is that I will be able to do more releases in my moneymaker, which is contemporary romance, and get those like where they're more frequent. And right now I'm trying that by decreasing my word count a little bit. And then just if my other categories that are more for love are spaced out more, then it's okay. So anybody want to chime in on what frequency works best for you?
Yeah, for me, I do YA, so they don't, I guess they're like more okay with waiting a little bit longer between books. And so I publish them as soon as I write them, but mine are all like 75,000 words, so it takes me a little longer to finish a book. And so I've been releasing about every like 3 to 4 months, and that's been working pretty good. I have like a couple good months, of sales, and then that like last month before it'll kind of get a little low, but then it'll jump right up again once I release the next book. So, yeah, like 3 months is probably as far as I would ever want to spread it out. And I'm hoping to get, well, my next one, I'm scheduled to do it a month apart. But 3 months has been working. So
For me, I publish as I write, and I kind of have a sporadic schedule because I travel and I go to conferences, and I've got my hands in a lot of different pots. And so I've got a lot going on. And so some weeks I don't write at all. And some weeks I'm just pounding that keyboard and trying to get all my words down. So normally I'd say I've been publishing every 2 to 3 months. I think for getting your rank up higher and getting more money coming in every month is probably preferable, but I can't do that. And so I just do what I can. And the more books, I'm just going to say, if the more you publish and the more books you put out, that just adds another layer to what you're bringing in every month. And so don't stress too much if you can't put a book out every single month, because every time you publish, that's one more layer, and you're just adding that in. And just like the name of that group, 20 books to 50K. If your goal is to be making a certain amount every year, then just get to that number of books, however long it takes you to do it. Just keep plugging away at it and don't get discouraged.
All right. Amy,
I would say as well. Yeah, I always have something to say. I would say as well, if rapidly releasing is not something you feel like you can do, then I would probably invest in learning how to market yourself, because I think I could equate a lot of my success just to my rapid releasing. And not so much to my marketing. But if it's like, I really can't do more than like 3 weeks or 3 months or 4 months, then what I would be doing is also focusing on getting eyes on your current things, because it's either they're going to find you because you just released a book and now they're going to read your not your backstory, but your backlog, or they're going to find your backlog because you have marketed to it. But, I think us as authors thinking we don't have to market a book is kind of silly, because the whole rest of the world and all the other businesses around us know if I want more customers and I want new customers, I need to market to them. I need to find them. So if you're not finding them through releasing on a regular basis, then look into learning Amazon ads, or look into earning Facebook ads, or running just promos on your books to keep them high, to keep them visible, and to keep readers knowing that they're there. So it just kind of depends on where you fall in that, what you feel like you can do.
Perfect. Okay, so Hannah, let's see. Are we going to do this one? I'm trying to think. Some of our questions are kind of repetitive a little bit. So we've talked a little bit about, Janine wants to know about releases that start at $2.99. Do you use promotions for those? And can you get a book off the ground at that price? Which Amy's already talked about how well she's been able to get a book off the ground at $2.99, and I think we've covered. Oh, sorry. I think we've covered those pretty well.
But like for me though, I did it one at $2.99 also, and I didn't do the down to 99 cents one day. And so the way that I helped that was by doing a free day of the first book in that series, and then also doing the slow launch. But I didn't buy any like special promotions for that. So
yeah, and then Diamond was wanting to know what people should do if they refuse to launch at for your 99 cents.
Consider 99 cents maybe.
Yeah.
If you are a first-time author anyway, that you want to have the best shot that you can, and not all readers are willing to take a chance on new authors, and so 99 cents really is a good choice. But if you are more established, then yeah, go ahead and do the $2.99 and do a either any of these launch strategies we talked about by maybe going down to 99 cents for one day or rapidly releasing or doing the slow launch. Any of those, just whichever you think would work best for you.
I would say that making your book free is pretty much like paying for advertising, only you're not paying very much, right? Because you're making it free, you're giving it away, but your book is then showing up on a bunch of also bots in a bunch of different places over the next month, right? And so if you're not going to give it away free or reduce the price, then what you're going to have to do is spend money on ads. So either way, you're losing money, whether you're giving it away free, you're losing the money you could have made. It's not money you're giving out of your pocket, though. And so that's why I like making my book free, is I'm not spending money on it, but I'm getting the benefits of those ads. So if you're not going to do that, go ahead and spend the money on AMS ads, on Facebook ads, and that's what's going to get you the visibility, because you're not going to get visibility unless you're a popular author already. You're not going to get the visibility just by putting it up.
And I think as well, too, you need to stop looking at it as this one person bought my one book one time for 35 cents. If you can get a reader to buy your book, take a chance on you, pay 35 cents where they feel I'm getting a good deal, but then they join your newsletter, and now they're going to be supporting you through all of you. Now they know you, they know they like your books. Now they're going to buy your books. So you have to think about this one reader is not only a 35-cent customer, they're going to be a customer for my whole rest of my writing career. So yes, if you're writing one single book for the rest of your life, I could see why pricing it at 35 cents or 99 cents, where you only make 35 cents, it makes you kind of cringe. But that's not what you're getting. You're getting a new customer who's used to, or who's like, I don't know this person, I've never taken a chance on them. And now they're going to see you through the rest of your author life. And so I think you kind of have to separate yourself, that I want to get these people underneath, like with me, to take this journey. And sometimes it does mean pricing. I mean, grocery stores do it every week. They price loss leaders. They're not making any money. They're losing money, but they know if they get you in that store, then you're going to buy the rest of your groceries, and now they're actually going to be making money. So we're that same way. When we have to adopt that philosophy, that's kind of the way it has to be.
So I would say when I am having my release with a 99-cent book that I keep there at least for 2-3 weeks, I get a lot of reviews that say, I found a new author, you know, and that is key. That is what I'm aiming for. And so I love it. People are telling me that, you know, like, I gave this person a try. I have the reviews. I've never read anything by this author before, but I will again, you know. You can see that in the reviews, that people are taking that chance on me, and I'm not selling this one book. I'm selling my whole brand. I'm selling me. And they are not saying, oh, I'm going to, you know, look for another book that's just like this. No, they're saying, this is a new author for me, because that's what I'm trying to sell. It's not just this one book. And I think that when you look at it like that, you'll understand why it's such an effective strategy to try to win them over, you know. Okay, so we've got a lot more questions, but we've decided that we're just going to have to talk about this again, because launching is what everybody cares about. Everybody wants to learn, so we really want to spend the time to get you the information in detail that you want. So before we go, Judy, were there any questions on the live feed that we should talk about?
Yeah. So Perry Elizabeth asked, when you say book one is the loss leader, would you make it free or 99 cents? Anyone?
I would say it's possible to do a 99-cent book at its regular price, but generally 99-cent books don't do as well in promotions as free books do. If you're trying to do a promotion, I would say go with free almost 100% of the time. I am so sorry. Is that okay? Anybody else?
I agree with Michelle, and it kind of comes down to whether you're talking about a promotion after it's been out for a long time, or if you're talking about, this is my launch. If you're launching it, it's brand new, nobody's bought it before, nobody's seen it before, you can go ahead and price it higher at 99 cents or even regular price if you want to do that. If it's book that's been sitting around for a while, if it's a few months old and you want to try to revitalize it, free almost always brings me more money in the end than putting it 99 cents. It doesn't make as much sense because you're like, but you're giving it away. But like I said, you get a ton of free advertising for putting it up free. And the more you give away, the more money you make the day after it goes back on sale for the regular price.
Yeah. And then there's also the case where, like, if you have a long series and you're just trying to get people to start it, and a lot of authors will just have one book that's free. And to do that, you do, I think, need to be wide if you want to have it free all the time. But that has helped a lot of authors get people into their series and then continue on, and they if the series is like 7 books long, you get them with the free one and they just have to read every single one. So it's really worth it to do it that way.
And you did a free one too, Victorine, and you said you weren't as happy with how that turned out.
Yes, I did a perma-free for about, I believe it was 4 or 5 months, the beginning of this year. It was one of my better selling books, though, that I made perma-free. It was the first in my Married series, and I was hoping that that would bring enough sell-through to the rest of the books that it would make up for what I would lose in sales income on that one book. And it didn't, just because that first book sold so well for me that over time I calculated it out and I was losing money because I wasn't. I mean, yes, it elevated sales, but not enough to make it worth it for me, because I had brought in thousands of dollars the previous year from that one book alone, and so it just wasn't worth it. So I put it back to on sale.
Yeah, and I think that depends on if your series is standalone or they have to all be read together. That will make a big difference in that. And yours was standalone, so yeah, that could be a big factor. So then Perry also asked, what if we're talking about where to throw the advertising budget, AMS and stuff? So I guess we actually kind of did go over that. And then I think we did what Julia asked too, because that's what Victorine just talked about. And okay, so one last question is from Maria. How long are your average books that you can produce in a month? And I've never produced a book in 1 month, so
I was able to do a 30,000 word book in, I would say, 2 weeks, but a month for 50. Somehow that extra 20,000 weeks, but maybe I'm getting faster too. So I would say I could probably do a 50,000 word book in a month, no problem. That includes editing.
That's what I would say. 50 to 55,000 words in a month is what we do. I can't imagine trying to do 100,000 word manuscript in a month. I'd die. So.
Cool. That was all the questions on YouTube.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. So it's been a lot of fun. We're going to let you get off of here, but we're going to talk just a second about the Midwest Conference. Mia, Storymakers and Indie Author Hub is sponsoring it. And I know that registration is still going on. And if you register after September 17th, then you have to pay kind of like an extra fee for them to arrange meals and all that sort of stuff. So this is the week to do it. You have, what's the date today, guys? I don't ever know what the date is. Is it the 13th?
Yeah.
So you have 4 days to register for this conference still without having to pay late fee. So let's do it. Super excited. And Victorine, you want to plug yours real quick? The writer retreat?
Yes, the writing retreat. It is going to be in April 11th through the 13th of next year. And we are going to have the retreat for 1 day. And then that evening, we're going to be broadcasting on this channel live from the retreat. And we'll have a live audience to ask us questions. And I'm super excited about that. And then the next 2 days, we'll have the conference and we'll have classes. And each one of us is going to be teaching classes at the conference. And it's all done through the Nebraska Writers Guild. So it'll be in Omaha, Nebraska. And if you want more information about it, go to nebraskawriters.org. That's the Nebraska Writers Guild website. And if you scroll down on the sidebar, it'll say Spring Conference. I'll put it up on the front page really soon. I'm the webmaster of that website. And it's also, I put a link up in our Facebook group as well. But it's really awesome, and I can't wait to meet you guys. So come to it.
And I'll also add that Victorine and I are both teaching at Lone Star Inc. conference in Dallas, and it's February 28th through March 2nd.
Yes.
In Dallas. And so you can go, the registration has opened up. So that's another one for maybe some of you who live more down that direction. It's a really great conference. And I'm super excited. That's 3 times I get to see at least Victorine.
Yes. I'm so happy.
All right. Well, really appreciate you guys showing up for our show tonight, listening in, and answering or asking questions. Hope to see you next week when we try and round up the rest of these questions. So have a good night.
And we might be together next week, at least 3 of us.
Yeah.
Because we'll see how next week plays out. Or we might do it on Wednesday night, maybe. What are we doing? I don't know. We haven't even talked about it.
Stay tuned.
We still can't believe that next week is the conference. So we're still kind of wrapping our mind around that happened so fast.
Yeah. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll have more information about next week's podcast. And if you're watching these behind, you already know what we did. All right. All right. We'll see you later. Good night.
Good night.